It's finally that time, travelers. 8.2 preview, and the patch is on its way. We're down to 6 days and counting. The patch preview is out. We're going to discuss it. You can feel free to click on the link to the patch preview. It will be below in the description, but we're going to cover it all right here. First, it's going to be released May 24th, next week, Monday. We went over this yesterday when they let Lizard IRL announce it on his stream through Paint pictures, which was pretty awesome. If anyone's watched him on Twitch, you know that he messes around with Paint, so it was really cool that the devs did that for him. And then also, it says for me 11 a.m., which is their normal release time, but that's my time, so feel free to click the link, and when you click on this, it'll tell you what time in your time zone that auto updates. We're eager to share some exciting changes to the systems you've become familiar with. Read on to dig into everything you need to know about preparing yourself to take on a barrage of new challenges. What to expect. Massive updates to the Endgame and the Monolith of Fate. New challenging boss encounters. Shade of Orbus. Completely refreshed UI. We went over this the other day. We covered all the new UIs coming. Crafting, skill passives, your skills, your crafting menu, your inventory menu. We have new skills coming, Volatile Zombie and Storm Crows. We went over Storm Crows and kind of discussed some of the nodes. We never did cover the zombie, but I am excited to play both of those and get a video out on those as soon as they come out. And of course, much more. We scroll down to the overhauled endgame system. We have the new Monolith of Fate progression system. There's a new picture here that wasn't in the developer blog. They actually zoom out a bit where you can see the echo trees. So if you missed the complete blog read that we did yesterday, feel free to go to that, and we went really in depth with the whole developer blog, read the whole thing, discussed my thoughts on it. But here they have a new picture, and you can see as you complete echoes and new options come available, that this is just an infinitely expanding web of echoes that just keeps and keeps going. And I guess what it's going to get to is you're just going to see how far you can go. And then one thing I didn't notice before that this picture now shows is the stability of your quest echoes, and it looks like the bigger it gets, the more stability. I'm not sure exactly what stability does. I assume stability has something to do with the chance of Orbus showing up on echoes, but still super excited to build into this. Now when you get stuck with options of echoes and you don't want any of them, you just take a different branch. You have way more options. While not infinite options, there's definitely way more than there was, and you have a lot more control, and it's going to feel a lot better and more rewarding to be able to bypass the things you don't want to do and do what it is you want and pick the rewards that you want. Gone are the days of linear binary decision making. The Monolith now benefits from a better sense of progression, more variety and experiences from echo to echo, like mini areas and encountering web-altering beacons. And if you guys remember, we talked about those beacons yesterday. If you get to a point in your web where you don't like any of the rewards, and you have a beacon, I believe it wasn't the Chaos Beacon, it was the other one, I forgot the name. You can click on it and smash it, and it will rework. It'll change all of the webs that you have, all of those echoes, and the rewards will change and be randomly generated for all of them, giving you a chance to get better rewards. That was really cool. And then more player agency and strategy interacting with the Monolith, as well as more targeted midterm goals and rewards. To get the full details, go ahead and go over to the developer blog. The link is in this, but again, the link to this forum post will be in the description below. Then we have the Shade of Orbus. We've discussed this several times now, but I can't get over discussing the Shade of Orbus because it's the thing I look forward to the most. Getting into a boss fight that is never the same boss fight. I can't think of any game where this has happened before. I don't play, all games, so I'm sure there's a game out there that has something similar, but the fact that there's so much permutation and variety to this boss that every time you go in there, there's different skills you'll have to face, or a different combination of skills that you'll have to face, it just seems like it's going to be epic. You never know what to expect. It's going to keep you on your toes, keep that adrenaline going, and I look forward to this boss fight a lot, especially seeing all of the different skills, especially with how good the skills and the graphics are getting and how good it's just going to feel. As you journey through the Monolith, you'll soon come face to face with the Shade of Orbus, hopefully sooner than later, an unpredictable nemesis whose appearance heralds the destruction of an entire timeline. And we discussed that yesterday. When you defeat the Orbus in your timeline, it resets that whole web of echoes so they come crashing back down to a single point, but it adds corruption, which is basically like empowering your your timeline, and it's going to make it more difficult. It's going to give you better rewards. And so the more times you defeat Orbus and the more you up that corruption, the better the rewards and the higher the difficulty of it, and it just keeps stacking infinitely. So you'll always have progression, which is awesome. Each encounter will greatly vary as the unique boss descends in multiple forms with over 30 different skills, and I believe yesterday we read that it led to like some 4,000 different possibilities of boss fights. The new world map and the UI updates. And 8.2 also presents a complete UI refresh. We are bringing new visuals and functions to every panel in the game. For example, take a look at the new world map and improved quest. And we did a UI update. If you go back to, I think 2 days ago, I posted a video. We did the crafting UI, the skills UI, the inventory UI. We went over all of them. They look sick. And if we look at the world map, you can see the new arrows, and these are very, very detailed maps. I mean, very detailed. And you can see a lot of them. There is definitely room for expansion, so hoping a lot of new areas come in the future, but this looks awesome. You can also see updates in the crafting and character inventory windows. These windows, along with many others, have been reformatted to better display key information. And if you look down, we actually finally have the crafting inventory menu, which we didn't have this UI yesterday when we made the other one, but it looks like you can see prefixes, any affix, suffixes. You can actually separate them out in a cleaner way. The search function is still here. Hopefully it works just as well. And then of course your runes are now at the top instead of in the bottom in a drop down menu. You can instantly see which ones you have. The only thing I have about this is it looks like they might be limited on room here. They were talking about a lot more runes coming in the future, so I'm wondering if these will drop down and you'll have, you know, another row and maybe everything will just get bumped down a little bit. That might be it. And then if you look over to the right, it looks like commas will not be coming. There's no commas in the gold or in the shards that they have here, so we were kind of hoping they'd put that in last minute. Looks like they didn't do it. If you look at the affixes, you have what's added, what's increased. It's instantly thrown in there, so you don't actually have to read it. You can see if it's a prefix and then how many of them you have. This is a lot cleaner than it was. You can see what's available, what's currently applied. And then you notice that in your inventory, you now have blessings inventory and appearance. So it's going to be really cool to be able to see your blessings, what's available for blessings, what you've unlocked, what you haven't unlocked. We discussed all that in the other video, but it's going to be awesome how clean and how clear it's all becoming. You don't have to open up your map and look through the side and try and read it, and you couldn't see which ones you didn't have. You'd have to go to a third-party website. It's now all in-game. That's awesome. These examples only scratch the surface of the complete UI refresh. More to come on this in the near future. I wonder if they're going to do more on the reworks before the patch actually comes out. Then we have the new skill summon, Storm Crow. The primals can now call upon Storm Crows whose default ability is to cast lightning damage dealing spells from a distance. And we have gone over this skill, what we think it's going to be. I think it's going to be very viable. It's going to be awesome to have a ranged companion other than the Spriggan. New skill, Volatile Zombie. The Agilite can now raise volatile zombies who trudge towards the nearest enemy. When they reach an enemy or die, they explode, dealing physical and fire damage to all nearby enemies. We'll watch this little gif here. You can see how they explode, doing nice damage. I'm not gonna lie, that looks sick as fuck. I'm excited for these. This will probably be the first thing that I play with because, come on now, that's just cool. That's gonna be fun. Visuals, work in progress. It looks like they're still working on some of the visuals, but I tell you what, those look pretty cool. Responding to feedback. You requested them, so here they are. Movable stash tabs. I've been looking forward to this. This one was teased. I think they didn't know if it was actually going to come in this patch or not, but it's now confirmed. You can now move your stash tabs around and switch them. Awesome. One more thing that I wish they would really add, and maybe it's in here and it just doesn't say it, was when you click these arrows, I wish it would automatically take you one over. I hate having to like cycle over and then have to click each one manually. I wish there was a click button, but I'm not sure. I doubt it. Doesn't look like that was added in this as well. But just being able to move them around is really cool because I have a lot that I created in the wrong area, and it's going to be nice to finally move it and organize it all together. Thank you for your continued feedback regarding minions. We're excited to be making a number of improvements to minions in this patch, including minions will now be quicker to engage in combat with nearby enemies. Awesome. I tell you what, the Necro melee minions, nothing worse than if you took one step to the right and they're in the middle of attacking and then they come back to you, look at you, say, hey, what are you doing? And then run back to get another attack, and meanwhile you got hit 400 times and died because your minions weren't doing what they were supposed to. Minions will now remain in combat rather than returning to you when you reposition in combat, such as when kiting. Okay, I just discussed that. Wow, I'm really bad at just reading one sentence ahead. Minions will now increase their movement speed temporarily in certain situations, such as when catching up to you or initiating combat. Awesome. So they're going to get in combat and they're going to stay there. A lot better. Love it. Here's an example. It looks like the Acolyte, the Necromancer in this case, is running around kiting, and they're not doing this whole zigzag back and forth thing. They're actually staying in combat. So that's awesome. That's going to make it a lot funner to play with them. Fear not, the difficulties your minions have attacking the God of Storms are Lagan. Awesome. Looks like they fixed the targeting, at least for minions on Lagan. It'll be still questionable if they fixed it targeting for movement skills such as like lunge. But either way, still excited that Lagan is being worked on and that they have fixed some of the targeting issues, especially for minions. Nothing worse than going in with 40 melee minions and not a single one of them decides to attack. And you're just like, well, what are you doing? Patch 8.2 also brings new items, visual effect reworks, improved controller support, crafting changes, performance improvements. By the way, we talked about crafting. If you looked at the new UI for the crafting, it looks like crafting has been completely reworked. There was like ways to have like 6 different items into the mix of your craft, and instability was changed from 5 to 2, possibly goes up with the more items that you add for the crafting. So super excited to see what's going on in there. They haven't done any sort of teaser or dev blog or anything to discuss the changings that are coming to crafting, but it looks like it is being completely reworked, at least from the UI picture that we saw. Performance improvements, they do that every patch. I'm excited to see how much more they improve this one. New music, I actually asked for this earlier today for them to tease us like a new track because they haven't teased one in a while, but I'm glad to hear there's more new music. We all know that I need more variety of music in my videos that I do, and so much more. As always, we greatly appreciate the community for the continued support and engagement. We could not be here without you, and then join their official community Discord, and this is awesome. Alright, that's the patch preview. Now you know what's confirmed and what's not. They just told us. And I tell you what, I'm excited for all of it. I would say the most excited thing I'm for is just the new Monolith rework. The way that it webs out, the way that you have multiple choices. You don't just pick between 2 modifiers. You know, the way that you can encounter Orbus sooner or later. You get to choose when you take on the bosses instead of like hoping that the quest echo pops up. And now you know the rewards in an echo, so if it's a reward you don't want, you just skip it. You have the ability to rework all of the echoes if none of the rewards or something, as long as you have, you know, gotten one of those chaos stones or one of those essences that are in there. And I hope I get the names right here soon, because, you know, it's just, there's so much info being thrown that I'm pretty bad. Oh, looks like we officially have too many people on the website. Good thing we made this video. All right, that's going to be it from me. As always, stay safe, travelers.